Every single week, we had a weekly production report we had to turn in, and Miss Rash was not lenient to what we really wanted. These next two slides are going to seem pretty random, but as a teenager, and I'm sure you all at one point is my thinking that place this year, and boss right to adults. And definitely by working at Jack, and I've earned a...
And I'm here because I'm a concerned citizen, and I just have the strong desire to want to see our school district continue to improve and be the very best. I want to be the school board for the selection of our new superintendent, but however, a couple things I don't commend them for. I don't commend them for the oversight that they lack to provide for this current superintendent and this administration, and also over the legal system that we've hired. Because of this neglect and dereliction of duty, they have cost the school district millions of dollars that could have been used for building a new school and for other things in this school district. A couple of things that I feel in order for this school district to really move forward and make an improvement is that number one is, certain people's got to go. That counselor over there who do things on her own independently, don't follow rules and procedures, who pick and chooses the Sal and Val at her choosing, she needs to go. This legal team that we have that has cost this district millions of dollars, Jack, Luciano, and Griffith, they need to go. This is the only way that we're going to make some improvement and become one of the best school districts in this state and in this nation. Now, a couple of things that I recommend for the board. Number one, you all need to read. Read the school board policies and procedures. Read it. Become familiar with them. You can't enforce and hold the lawyers accountable for making decisions if you don't know. Read the depositions. As a result of this incompetency, we have 2 lawsuits that's pending in the school district, and that bill is continuing to count. And then we did a real poor job in representation for the consolidation. And a lot of it because of this board didn't provide proper oversight in reading. Nobody reading deposition. You read the deposition, you will find so many numerous mistakes. And then you can tell the board, but you all let the board tell you what to do. And you all let the legal team tell you what to do. You don't need a law degree to figure out a lot of this stuff. It's common sense if you read. You got to read. Read those depositions and ask questions. And then you advise them what's the direction you want the school board to go. Thank you for your time. I hope you take my recommendation into consideration, and God bless you.
Next public participation is Dr. Sherry Shepard.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I, like Reverend Duvall, have been a member of this community since I graduated college. And being a part of the community, it is my desire to see the school community excel and to see our school system excel. I think I've given myself a personal award. I say that I've been possibly the longest running parent in the Cleveland School District. All of my 4 daughters attended, and my oldest daughter entered the system in 1986. My youngest daughter exited the system in 2016. So I've been a parent for 30 years, and I take that very seriously. Given that, I want this school to grow, not only for my children and my grandchildren, but for all children in the Cleveland School District. 3 years to this very day, on May 13, 2016, Judge Deborah Brown ordered the Cleveland School District to desegregate its schools and provide Black students equal educational opportunities. This is nothing new, because 62 years prior, the Supreme Court ordered the same in ruling that separate but equal in public schools for Black students and white students was unconstitutional, and that everyone was entitled to due process of law and equal protection of law. Yet 65 years after Brown and 3 years after Judge Brown's ruling, we're still not fully realized for Black students in this district equal educational opportunities in the Cleveland School District. In other words, despite these federal legislations, in 2019, Black students are still being treated differently than white students in the Cleveland School District, and they have yet to receive what federal law granted them decades prior. I come to ask this board yet again to move out of the way so that our students and our schools can soar to high levels. This board has lied to the courts. This board has lied to the media. This board has caused grave harm to our students. And that shouldn't be the case in 2019. Our kids deserve a school system where their diversity is respected and Black students are fully included in the school community. Black students should receive the honors that they earn. They should have equitable access to advanced classes and to scholarships and equitable grading according to the policy. This would never happen as long as the same players are in position, violating district policies without recourse and making decisions intended to cheat Black students of what they have already had to work twice as hard to achieve. Sadly enough, in addition, we have school officials with knowledge of the injustice choosing not to get involved, thereby emboldening the oppression. Without question, these evils and these despicable acts of racial oppression causes irreparable harm to innocent students. I can speak to this personally because I've been a witness to this harm. And this should not be the case in 2019, as it was in 2016 for my very own daughter. Nonetheless, no longer would the superintendent be able to use race to justify her turning a blind eye and a deaf ear to the discrimination which has harmed Black kids in this community for more than a decade. No longer will Blacks sit in silence, fearful to speak, fearful to act, fearful of the threats to their safety due to the intimidation and harassment as that which was perpetrated recently by the new school board attorney, Mr. Arnold Luciano, and in doing so, violated the very policies he is charged to uphold. Since May 19, 2016, my daughter stood courageously against the despicable acts of racial discrimination, against the harassment, against the racial attacks, against the death threats. Yes, she received death threats, against the lies and the deceptions purported to the media by the district's own attorney, claiming a tie in a GPA that never existed. This shouldn't be the case in 2019. Since May 14, 2018, another student has stepped out on faith, courageously proclaiming that she too was cheated of an honor she earned because this district is not ready to accept two Blacks in top academic positions for fear of white flight. This should not be in 2019. Both Jasmine and Alicia have championed a cause bigger than themselves. Both have been heralded by the national media nationwide for their courage, rightfully so, as should be the case in our local community. They chose the road less traveled by because many students before them were deprived of the same that they have. Yet, their stand will make all the difference for Black students for generations to come. I commend them both for allowing God's will to be manifested in their lives. For it's God's appointed time and season, and He will perfect that which concerns them all, such that all children, Dr. Sills, in the Cleveland School District will be respected for their diversity, and all will be positioned for colleges, for careers, and for life. Therefore, I challenge the Cleveland School Board to free these students, these beautiful students that we saw here this evening. These students aspiring not only to work in Wendy's, but to be afforded opportunities in the Jackson Luciano law firm. I challenge you to live out the legacies that these children talked about. Honesty, decency, hard work. Those are the things that Jasmine and Alicia exhibited in their efforts to excel to high levels. And I encourage you to recognize that this school district can be an educational oasis in Mississippi, in the Mississippi Delta, if the school board would allow the reconciliation that our kids so rightfully deserve. Thank you.
The last participation is Ms. Judy Raines.
Let's be short and sweet. I'm Judy Raines. I work at Hayes Cooper. I'm a teacher assistant. I have a son who's a senior this year. He's graduating.